Hello class, and today we will be moving into the DLC area, the Ollacile Sanctuary. In case you missed how to get here, you can go ahead and check the video entitled DLC and Pyromancy, where I show you guys how to access this area. Let's just go ahead and run down this way, and we will enter the Darkroot Garden before it was called Darkroot. This is the Royal Woods, as you're about to see. If you look at it closely enough, you realize this is actually Darkroot Garden in the past. This the similarities is heightened by the similar enemies. These guys representing the tree people, of course, who can go down in one hit pretty easily. And you may remember the giant stone guardians that you found earlier. And these guys also drop moss clumps, which is another similarity. You may also remember the giant stone guardians from the Darkroot Garden. Those guys make an appearance here too. And except they're way more annoying, and they way much more than make up for the lack of strength that's quite apparent in the gardeners. So be careful around these guys, because they do quite a bit of damage, and they know how to hit. So yeah, use your dodge roll, use your shield, just use anything, and make sure you don't get killed by these guys, because that can be pretty annoying. Anyway, I haven't found a good spot to hit him yet. Ah, I missed. And let's try some Aramillis. Nope, that doesn't work. Oh, well, we did do enough damage to kill him, but that's definitely not a recommended method, is using Pyromancies. So don't do that, because it barely does any damage at all, and it's much more efficient just to hit people with your sword. So, smackety smack smack. This one down. So, if you explore around this area, you'll actually be able to find a complete armor set, the Guardian armor set, which is only slightly weaker than Havel's. So it's kind of like the Stone Guardian set we got earlier, but it's, well, different-er, I guess. This is a shortcut to later in the area. We can access that later, of course. Up here is the Guardian Gauntlets. So the entire set is scattered around this area. As you can see, it has some things that are actually better than Havel's, but personally I prefer higher poise, especially for this build. Plus, I kind of like the look of Havel's set, so we're just going to go ahead and stick with that. So, yeah, if you explore this area, you can find the entire Guardian set, although I have never actually been able to find the chest plates, so that's something for you guys to find. I have found every piece except the chest plate at some point. So, have fun searching, I guess. Sorry. Anyway, over here is a few more stone guardians and gardeners and people. So, yeah. Gardeners are definitely not meant to be guarding this area, even though their name has, like, guard in it, because they're like the gardeners. Anyway, let's just focus on killing the guardians, the stone guardians, because they're actually a challenge. And if you tell me you had an easy time beating these guys and you were using the same build, I will not believe you, because I had a hard time and I've finished this game twice already. So, yeah. Even with a similar build to this, surprisingly enough, it was using the Black Knight Greatsword, which has a pretty similar moveset, a pretty heavy swing attack, and a straightforward attack, although the straightforward attack is much better in my opinion. And I was using Havel's set too, actually. It's kind of funny. You know, that loot I missed right there might actually be the chest plate. I just forgot to pick it up somehow, because I was being a derp. There's a chest over there, but there's more guardians, so you need to be careful of that. So, yes, watch out for the AoE attacks and area of effect, in case you didn't know. And just be careful of the hammer. Good advice for any game ever: be careful of the hammer, because the hammer hurts. So yeah, same could be said of our greatsword, but it's not quite enough to be able to best this guy. See, the problem with strength and dex builds is that the opposite side is, so yeah, strength and dex builds are like two opposites, of course. So there's like three general kinds of builds. There's the magic build, the strength build, and the dex build. And they all like coincide perfectly, like rock, paper, scissors. Each one is actually fairly good against most enemy types. But they all have certain weaknesses, like the sorcery build is easily able to take down the strength build with its ranged attacks that are quite powerful. And the dex build can get in some good backstabs, but the strength build is also easily able to annihilate the sorcerer and the dex build with its highly increased damage and tanking capabilities. So it really all depends on your preference on what you want to play as. So yeah, off on a tangent while I was fighting some guardians. I'm going to try two-handing it because dodge rolling is pretty easy and it's what we were using most of the time, and it'll give us some pretty nice damage. Can never find an opening on these guys. I'm just going to switch back to my shield because you never know when you might need to block. Anyway, give it a few good hits. And see, the only problem with an elemental weapon is there's no scaling at all. So the only way to make it do more damage is to upgrade it. And we've already gotten their full upgrades. So, maybe if you're planning on going into future new games, perhaps it would be wise to invest in a plus 15 Zweihander, which actually has some pretty nice scaling. Or maybe you'd like to try the Black Knight weapon, which have similar movesets for the most part. It's all up to you, but this is only a one playthrough build. I would highly recommend switching to something not elemental based in future new game pluses, because elemental builds become highly outdated as soon as you realize you can't keep increasing your damage. And once you can't once you can't one-hit stuff, this build is pretty much in the dumpster. So, anyway, so yeah, the first time I realized that this was actually the previous Darkroot Garden, it was like, wow, it all makes sense now. This is actually all in one localized area. It has changed a lot, but it's all here. It's all here. There's even a pretty neat basin area with the startings of a lake and a waterfall, which is actually a whole boss fight room right in there. It's really is quite interesting. Just looking at the similarities between these areas and other areas and comparing them and seeing how they actually coexist. So it's really quite interesting. So yeah, let's take a look around here, pick up any loot I might have missed, and just to be sure, let's head back down here. And the Guardian legging should be sitting around here, probably behind that Guardian dude over there. And in my opinion, I kind of like the appearance of the Stone Guardians as opposed to these guys, because they have pretty neat shields and they don't look so elongated. It's always good to get an extra hit, especially when it breaks their poise. So, this place does have a lot of boss fights, and optional boss fights as well with NPCs, including pretty much all three of Lord Gwyn's knights, all four, because you do meet all of them at least once, I'm pretty sure. There's Hawkeye Goff, or however you pronounce that. He shoots down a dragon for you, which is pretty nice. There's the Lord's Blade Syrian, whatever, who who appears after you defeat Artorias. And I can't remember the other person. Oh well. And you can come down here and over here. And yeah, there's the Calamite, the Black Dragon. He is the last remaining of the ancient dragons, so he's the one that gets shot down by Goff, or I'm just gonna say that from now on, so you can actually fight him on even ground. So yeah, we'll talk to you guys more about that later when we actually do it, of course. Crystal lizards. No, I hate it when I miss those guys. Get back here. No. Well, they do have some pretty nice drops, but it's not terribly important anymore. Anywho. And, yeah. More guardians, more peoples to kill. And, oh, I just remembered who Lurgan's fourth knight was, and we already beat him. So, Ornstein the Dragon Slayer. Yeah. Blur. Should have mentioned that a little earlier. But anyway, we meet the other 3 knights in person here. So that's pretty nice. And we actually do have a chance to get Goff's Great Bow, which is also pretty nice. So yeah. It's basically just a more powerful version of the Dragon Slayer Great Bow, which requires 20 dex to use, so we're not going to use that, although it would be a pretty nice ranged option for a strength-based character. And these guys have scissors, so they have stupid annoying flurry attacks. Okay. Let's go ahead and drink a bit of Estus there just to keep our health up high. Do a jump. There we go. So in case you're wondering, I only have 2 videos after this, and then I think I'll be heading on to Cave Story, although if anyone's noticed me by now, they might have their own input. But I won't be talking about that now. I'll talk about that in my final video, of course. So anyway, up here is a area full of more tricky jumps, but it's really not all that bad. Just have to time it properly, and because we're mid-rolling, we don't have to worry about jump distances. There we go. Lucky us, and there's the Guardian Helm. I've probably already mentioned where the Guardian chestplate was. It's just a piece of loot I missed on a cliff somewhere. No idea how I missed it, but, well, I missed it. So, you can grab that if you want to. And you get the complete Guardian set. It's actually pretty nice, and it does have some nice resistances compared to Havel's, but Havel's does have more poise, so we're going to stick with that. And I have heard that the fully upgraded Giant's armor is actually way better than a Havel's, or slightly better than Havel's. So if you guys want to wear that, that's perfectly okay, but it's a little heavier, so we won't be able to be mid-rolling there. Anyway, this is an Elizabeth's mushroom, and it causes way stupid fast HP regeneration. Basically, you get hit and the damage is healed, unless it kills you. So basically, turns you into Seath for a limited duration. Pretty cool. Anyway. And, up this way. You can go ahead and do a jump from the little corner here, or you can just roll off this cliff back onto the area. Saves you trouble jumping. So me wondering why there's all these chasms here. It's a bit of a long story, but basically this area is being slowly corrupted by the Abyss. And by Manus, who dragged us into the past, and other stuff like that. So yeah, Manus is corrupting this entire area with the corruption of the Abyss, and it hasn't quite fully formed yet, though. So we can actually enter the Abyss when it's not quite fully formed, and defeat Manus to stop the spread of it, and keep it localized so that it can be formed and be the ground base for the 4 kings later, and the Dark Wraiths. So fortunately there's no Dark Wraith enemies in this bit of the game, so I don't need to worry about that. And yeah, so in case you're wondering why those guys were all just sitting there snipping trees, it's because they were meant to attack you when you grabbed this item down here. I'm pretty sure it's just a gold coin. Yeah, it is. So that's just a sell to Framped item. It's really just a soul item with an extra step in it, so it's really not all that great at all, really. I don't really see the purpose, but, well, it's there. I guess some people might not figure out that you can sell it, so... Anyway, and there's 2 Guardians. We are screwed. Let's see if our fireballs do any more damage. Nope, not at all. And, nope, we're not really doing anything, but just keep your distance. Keep your distance. Just make sure you kill these guys without getting too close, because get too close and you'll be screwed. Yeah. Don't get hit by 2 of these guys at once, because you will hate yourself for it. And we're running out of bolts, and we missed all 3 of those. Well, that kind of sucks. There we go. It does a little more damage than the fireball. And we got hit while it was reloading. Whoopity-doo-dah. That's 1 down. We have 1 bolt left. There we go. And we can switch to sniper bolts, which do a little more damage, but not really much. Maybe it's more with range or something. I don't know. but I think they are a little bit more accurate. So you can go ahead and use up these. They are actually doing less damage the farther away we go, so that's something, I guess. Closer you are, the more damage they do. That's pretty much how it works. Anyway, so we've pretty much used up all our bolts for the Javelin, so we're going to have to buy a new supply if you intend to use it that much. Yeah, anyway, over here is another crystal lizard. And I timed it improperly yet again. No! I hate it when they get away from me like that. It's just really annoying. Anywho, let's jump down here and grab an item, just to show you guys what it is. So this area is a little easier to explore because it has more natural lighting, so you don't have to worry about missing something or anything like that. And the trees are kind of easier to see through. Unfortunately, there's no Forest Hunter Covenant here quite yet, so there's no awesome PvP here. So that's why this area isn't frequented that much. But the DLC is one of the most popular places for PC PvP. That sounded cool. Anyway, so back here is another soul item. Anyway, so yeah, you can just there's an area right after the Artorias boss fight, actually, which is heavily frequented by people who love to PvP. Actually, getting a match there. It's kind of funny. But anyway, here's an elevator, and here we are, right next to the Artorias boss fight room already. Down there's another boss fight, but we're not going to go there yet. There's like 4 just in the DLC alone. So that's pretty neat. And they're all really close together, too. And one of them's even optional. Don't see very many optional boss fights. Anyway, that's a pretty good view, and it looks something like the Undead, like the view from Firelink Shrine. So that's pretty interesting. Always good to check for illusionary walls. You never know when something might pop up. Anyway, let's run over this way, because I have a shortcut to show you guys. And we are severely running low on Estus, so we need to head back to the bonfires really quick. There's a bridge here, and here is the guy who possesses the other half of the broken pendant. His name is Marvelous Chester. So,
yes, of course. We are both
he was grabbed here because he has the other half of the broken pendant, and he has basically your odds and ends of this world. He sells 8 humanity as well, which is kind of nice. So we can restock on some bolts here. See, the heavy bolts actually do more damage. So we're going to go ahead and equip those. So they're used mainly with the heavy crossbow, but the Javelin's pretty cool. Let's just buy like 233. Yay! Spent all our souls.
Did you happen across
So now Artorias from the Biswalker. So colorless sword. Okay. He loves his own jokes. So that the first boss fog gate that we saw is actually Artorias' boss gate. So that's pretty interesting. So we'll be fighting Artorias soon. Really soon, actually. But first, let's head back to the bonfire and take a quick nap before we get onto the fight, which I must say is one of the best boss fights I have ever had, bar none. Or what am I hitting at? Anyway. So, I will say that Artorias is the best boss fight I have ever experienced, and I would challenge you guys to say otherwise, honestly. And don't you dare say the Bed of Chaos, because that would be, like, wrong, and I would call you a liar. So anyway, so once you see how awesome Artorias is, you will begin to understand me. He doesn't have any ranged attacks, which means you can stand back and heal, but he does have quite a few really powerful lunge attacks, which close the distance really quickly. He has a few abyss sorceries, which don't really do much, but they do something. And he has a rage mode that can be interrupted, luckily. He sits in one place for a while, and he goes and he does arrgh, and then he starts and then he powers up and gets even more aggressive if you don't knock him out of it by hitting him enough times. Let's go ahead and consume our twin humanity so we can kindle a bonfire, because we are going to need that Estus for this fight. we will go ahead and kindle another one, just to be sure. Anyway, so reverse hollowing as usual. So that's pink, and a couple more kindles, just to be sure. So, after the Artorias boss fight, is one of the most frequented PvP areas, and one of the least frequented PvP areas, which is kind of funny because they're so close to each other. But anyway, let's head back to the Artorias boss fight room really quickly. I didn't speed it up because I had stopped around 30 minutes on my actual timer, and speeding up would actually just cut it short. I didn't really have to. So this gives me a little more chance to talk about Artorias. So, as you may have heard me talk about earlier, or in item descriptions, he actually enchanted his shield or something, and used it to protect Sif, and he became corrupted by the Abyss. Legends say he won over it, but he didn't, and he became completely corrupted, and it's our job to kill him and give him an honorable death, or something like that. Bunch of NPCs are like, oh, you killed him, you're a hero, you saved him, or something like that. And yeah, we're just doing what the game throws at us. So anyway, so it is definitely one of my favorite boss fights, especially because he's only slightly taller than you. So say if we're like, say 5 feet, he's only like 8. It's pretty tall, but he's not that much larger than any of us. So anyway, in here, begging for humanities. Herg. The only thing that make this boss fight better was a tail weapon that was really stupid hard to get at. But unfortunately, there's nothing of that. Maybe a better boss soul weapon would be appreciated too. And there he is, Artorias of the Abyss with his epic greatsword. Stab. And now you saw how brutally we murdered that guy, and now it's our turn. We are so screwed. Anyway, so he's gonna go ahead and do some stuff. I think it was originally intended for there to be dialogue here, but it was all cut for some reason, not sure why. You could look it up, there's actually a whole bunch of dialogue files for him. It's kind of interesting anyway. And don't worry, that guy's not on his sword the whole boss fight, he just lands right in front of you. Anyway, land Artorias, whole bunch of lunge attacks that you have to dodge or block. Some pretty nice swords and slam attacks from long ranges. Barely got a hit off on him. Yeah, he's hitting me so much. Oh, there's his rage mode charge up. Just hit him enough times, we broke his poise, and we're set. We got some pretty huge down, like, stupid awesome attacks like that. And there's an Abyss Sorcery, so he's just meant to stun us for a bit. It's really all he has. It's ranged even slightly. Yeah. So, fight this guy real time, you'll see why I enjoy him so much. He's actually really fun to fight. Because he's about as awesome as you are. Especially with his Ultra Greatsword. So you can actually get his Greatsword with his Boss Soul. But there's two other options with what to do with it, and we'll actually be doing one of the obvious ones. So, anyway, you can consume it for a bunch of souls. You can use it with a greatsword to craft the Abyss Greatsword, which has Abyss powers associated with it, I think. Or you can give it to Lord's Blade Syrian, who you will see really soon, after we beat this boss and do a few things. You can give it to her, and she will actually give you her 2 weapons, which you can loot from her anyway if you kill her, which we'll be doing. So anyway. 50,000 souls, not terribly much, but it's there. And let's take a right here to show you guys. Actually, Lord's Blade Syrian's not here quite yet. Let's take a right here and show you guys the Battle of Stoicism Gazebo. So this is the PvP arena. It's not terribly active right now. I swear I've sat there waiting for a battle for way long. And people only really just sit there and cheat their way in. So it's really not that fun, in my opinion. Especially because there's such a huge, highly frequented PvP area right afterwards anyway. It's right down here. And there's already someone trying to invade me. I just walked in. So can't use the bonfire or anything. So we're just going to have to wait. So anyway, this place is the place to go if you're going to do PvP matches, because everyone comes here. Literally everyone. So here's some guy named Fabio Lopez. If you see him, let him know. I don't censor names of invaders to show off like stuff. I just let them know this is who invaded me. You just want to know. Let's get the Black Knight Halberd, and he is incredibly weak to my attacks apparently. He also has, looks like some sort of a weapon that's like his spears and stuff. Looks like he doesn't use a shield apparently. Not smart when I can smash you a few times and just deal like 600 damage to you, which is quite a bit, I might add. Stunned him for a moment there. Got him quite a bit of health down. That's a dragon. So that's a Gravelord Servant sign there, in case you're wondering, the black one. It's causing black phantom enemies, which we don't actually see yet. So he also was using the Shodel on me. It's a weapon that goes right through shields, as you may have noticed when we were fighting. Can't remember his name. Lortrek. So we get his souls, but there's no item drops from human invaders. So anyway, someone else is trying to invade us now. Oh, nope, there's not. So you might see that red sign there. That's basically just you choose whether or not someone invades you, pretty much. So there's that. And there's also dragon remnants, which basically means if you have a dragon scale, there's a sign that shows up and you can invite someone into your world to duel them for a dragon scale. That's for the Path of the Dragon Covenant. So the Gravelord Servant thing only appears in 3 worlds at once, so you can count on at least 2 other people to help you out. With defeating the Gravelord Servant. So that's pretty nice. Anywho. So there's quite a few phantoms that can exist on one world at a time if you think about the numbers. But anyway, we have just one more thing to do, and it will actually also help with the invasions problem, because this is another one of those supposed to lose, not really a boss fight, but more of a instant death zone. So yeah, so you can just run down here. And I believe this is the start of the Darkroot Basin, so there's that. So anyway, so that is the place to go for invasion, so if you're thinking about PvP, go there. Go there right away, and go there now. Because that is where everyone invades. The only other place I can think of is the Darkroot Forest, and that's only because there's forest hunters there. So I'd recommend that for noob invaders, because that way you only invade people who really... That way you get plenty of invasions, because there's almost always someone there. Anyway, I went ahead and equipped our Avalyn in the first slot, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. And I equipped our Pyromancy Flame in the first slot, I think. Well, not quite sure what I did because I wasn't paying much attention. But anyway, I changed around the orientation of the Pyromancy Flame and the Avalyn, so that when we're trying to use one or the other, we're not without a shield. So it's always good to have a shield when you're using a ranged attack that has a delay like that, because sometimes you just can't roll away, and it's better to just put up a shield. Anyway, so you might remember these dog things from the lower Undead Burg. So, or maybe the Blight Town, which, by the way, might actually be Ollacile. So that's pretty interesting. But probably not. Anyway, down this way. And through here, there's no white fog yet because it's not technically a boss fight just yet. So, here we are at the top of the ladder shortcut. There's the Calamite. He's not a boss fight because his name hasn't appeared. So slide down this ladder, which is actually really strikingly reminiscent of the one in Darkroot Basin next to the Hydra. So I firmly believe this is actually the area where the Hydra is in Darkroot Basin. This is Soul of a Hero, Soul of a Brave Warrior, and another Soul of a Brave Warrior. So we just stocked up quite a few souls. Oh, now I remember what I was equipping there. I was equipping the Ring of Sacrifice because this is a supposed to lose boss fight. So you get killed by him, and then Hawkeye Goth will respond to you, and he will let you know about stuff. And he will he will shoot down the dragon for you. Unfortunately, we're still in human form, so we're gonna have to run back up here before we get invaded. Gotta be fast about these things, otherwise you will get invaded. Anyway, so Lord's Blade Syrian should actually be here, although there is just one more thing I wanted to show you guys before we go ahead and head into that. It's right up here, and up here, and here is a tower area upon which rests Hawkeye Goff. I can't remember. Anyway, so this door you actually need a specific key to open, and we can't open it with the master key. So we're gonna have to continue on in the Ollacile township area in order to get it. So yeah, down this way, and we can fight and kill Lord's Blade Syrian while we're here, because it gives us a pretty neat dex-focused armor set, which actually looks really cool. See, right here is Lord's Blade Syrian. So if you give her the soul of Artorias, we're gonna go ahead and do that. She will give you 2 really awesome dex weapons. These are actually some of the best in the game, so you can go ahead and take a look at those. This one causes bleeding, and it scales heavily with dex. That one should cause poison, and it scales even heavier with dex. And the gold one has a pretty cool particle effect where the swing of the sword actually traces after it. So, chipmunk voice. That's pretty cool. And somehow she got her tracers back. I wonder how she did that. Anyway. Oh, yep, it's a toxic dark silver tracer. They're actually pretty good at parrying as well. Just gotta get a good lock on her. There we go. Just throw a fire whip at her. No. Come back, Yara. Come back, Yara. Let me fire whip you. Fire whip. There. Oh, she threw a Lloyd's Talisman at us. This prevents us from healing. So, if we tried to heal now, we would be greeted with an animation of us looking sullenly into our Estus flask and thinking, why can't I use it? So we can't use our Estus, see? Oh. Anyway. Apparently she's not human. I don't care what that means. Anyway. Let's go ahead and use this to cure the toxin really quick. And here is Syrian stuff. It's all heavily focused dex, and it's actually pretty good for what it is. Might even be better than the gold-hemmed... I think it is actually better than the gold-hemmed black set. So you can use that instead, and it looks way better in my opinion. Anyway, so let's go ahead and use all our soul items here in a sped-up cutscene thing, and then we can use them to level up a bit, and then that will be it for this video because we've already gone on a little longer than I intended to. So next video we'll continue on into the area and do stuff there. So apparently there was a Grave Vulture I didn't know about that somebody killed for us. Yay! Anyway, down this way, and hope nobody invades us. And put another point in vitality, and that's all we can do. So that's all for this video. We'll continue on in the township and the next, and possibly even defeat Manus. Class is dismissed. See you guys later.